interests are safeguarded, their rights are protected, it then boils down to growth of the sector. Now, what we've seen in the last 10 years is that the sector, the assets under management have more than tripled. So within a span of 10 years, we're seeing a lot of efficiency in terms of members are able to get their benefits, they're able to access more information about their schemes. More importantly is the professionalism that has been injected in the sector.
There has been a deliberate effort to build trust because the foundation is strong, it can be trusted. And again, the investment structures are very solid, so which means they encourage the growth of the market, the growth of the portfolio, and also provide the positive returns that we see to date.
The last one that is significant, which I've seen UBRA doing, is promoting transparency. So to a member, that information creates trust within the member because you are saying, there's nothing I'm hiding. This is how we run the scheme in the year. There were 13 meetings, and this member of the board, out of 13, he attended 3.
In the saving schemes, there was no trust, there was no confidence, there was a lot of risk. Even the savers could not know how much their contributions were. Okay? In other words, everything was in a disarray without any regulator.
I think as well, looking generally at the business environment, you rarely now see complaints of people stating that the funds that they thought they had in their names have disappeared or have been paid to the wrong person. And all this is just because of the supervisory role that UBRA has brought in, which has been pivotal in making us run a world-class pension sector in Uganda.
There are 3 parts to any pension system. There's the contributions or collections of pensions, there is the management of the pensions or the investment of these pension savings, and then there's the payment of these pension savings, either through a lump sum or through monthly payments. We have had a shared responsibility with UBRA for the past 10 years in the aspect of management of the savings through investments because many of the fund managers whom we license are also licensed by UBRA. Although UBRA focuses a lot more on the pensions, the retirement savings that they manage. So we have done this role together, we've had this shared role. The synergies we have drawn from this partnership have been very beneficial, and we look forward to continuing to work together with UBRA in the future.
We see growth in number of schemes in this market. Today we are talking of 65 schemes. In the past we are talking of 3 schemes that were established by an Act of Parliament. That is the Public Service Pension Scheme, the Parliamentary Pension Scheme, and the NSSF, all of them established by an Act of Parliament.
More importantly is to say that the journey that UBRA has walked over the 10 years have been challenging, but also refreshing, in a sense that they came into a virgin market. There was no regulator before them, especially in the pension sector. So what they started with was commendable. Let's do a stock taking. Let's understand the market. Who is doing what in the market? So I think that phase helped UBRA create the visibility, create identity for the first 3-4 years. Over the years, they've also been able to do publicity to kind of show the market, show the public that this is what we do, and especially as you plan for your retirement.
At least for the last 10 years, we've not had any corruption, loss of members' funds. We've also not had any poor investments because investments are all known, structured, in particular known asset classes that provide a very good return to the member. And actually in this period in time, that's when the sector has witnessed high returns to the members, double-digit returns for the last 5 years or thereabout.
So in my opinion, that is trust from the general public that we are doing the right thing, and we hope that we continue to do that.
In the next 10 years, what I would like to really see going forward is the spread of coverage, because the pension sector as it is now is really in the formal sector. And when you look at the working population of Uganda, if you even put it at around 20 to 25 million, the working population, not even 3 million are covered by pensions.
I think my main message to UBRA is, first of all, to thank the CEO, Mr. Martin Nsubuga, and his team for supporting the pension reforms. that have taken place so far, but also to remind the team that there's still some work to be done. It's not over, there's still some reforms that need to be done, particularly in the area of limiting access to long-term savings. So Martin and team, please don't rest. There's still some more work to be done to grow the domestic savings base of this country.
We feel that as a committee, UBRA needs to make itself more visible in Uganda, place itself, let the people of Uganda know what they are doing, let the people of Uganda know why they should save for retirement.
If you were to ask me, what should UBRA's next 10 years focus on? I would say that UBRA's next 10 years should be to now build this 20 trillion asset base that has been generated, should actually be able to ensure a comfortable life in retirement for all members who are in the retirement schemes. But UBRA should also then allow and come up with mechanisms to support the players to be able to onboard all the smallholders, all the informal sector to come in and secure their retirement by participating and joining the licensed pension schemes in the market.
And so my thinking is that we need to support the institution, particularly Parliament of the Republic of Uganda needs to support resource mobilization for allocation to the authority so that the authority can continue with the widening the coverage.
People now, instead of keeping money in boxes, will keep here, and it is in the financial sector, and it's easy to tap in. And the cost of money will go down, but other investment in the country will go high. And I can tell you, if you make very good regulations, we have the support of Parliament.
I believe that the next 10 years are quite pivotal. We've gone through the best building of the industry, and right now we are at the point where we have to be tasked with generating value for our clients and exhibiting relevance over the next 10 years. I'm very, very confident. In fact, I'm really proud of the work that has been done for the last 10 years, and my imagination runs wild. What is possible for the next 10 years.
And the other key achievement that or work in progress that UBRA is trying to do, which I again encourage different stakeholders in this sector, particularly Parliament, to support UBRA, is the coming up with a national micro pension scheme. Uganda is, our economy is largely informal, and even within the cities, we have so many people who are operating informally, and yet they earn income, either daily, either weekly or monthly. They earn income in one way or the other. But if not well guided, and I think this particular scheme, the micro pension scheme, would again help reorganize our people in the formal sector to put something aside. Because if you are in our market today, if you're a road vendor today, if you're a hawker today, if you're a border today, if you're a fisherman today, you still have that energy to go nearly every day in the waters and do fishing, to go to Nakawa market every morning to pick tomatoes, vegetables. But that strength with time, as years come by, begins to dwindle. That means the same basket that you can carry now, you are not able to carry in the next 5 years or 10.
So our focus, what really keeps us awake when I wake up in the morning, that drives my day, protection of members' funds.
So what I see going forward for the next 10 years is an organization that is efficient, that is creating value for the benefits. Efficiency meaning when I contribute, I must be guaranteed that 20 years from now, 30 years from now, when I retire, my money will be there. And ensuring that the monies that I contribute are invested in assets that will make my money grow. Not just putting in 1 shilling, and 20 years you're paid 1 shilling. When I put in 1 shilling, I should be paid 100 shillings at the end of 30 years. And that's the objective, and that's efficiency.
I think to the customer out there who might not even think they are a customer because you ride a border, you are in the garden, you don't even have anything to your name, UBRA will find you wherever you are and will look after you, because it's their mandate to look after you in retirement. And they can only look after you in retirement if you avail yourself now. And all they want to do for you is to make sure that when you hang up your boots, when I hang up this jacket in retirement, UBRA wants me to live a fulfilled life, a life bereft of poverty, a life of joy and happiness. And UBRA works with people and different entities to deliver that. As service providers, I think we'd want to say congratulations again, UBRA. We feel the heat sometimes, but we are ready for the task.
As we celebrate, let's also remember that there are those who are not yet part of the saving culture, and we find ways of bringing them forward. I wish you a happy celebration.
As we celebrate 10 years of service protecting retirement benefits in this country, allow me to thank the Board of Directors of Uganda Retirement Benefits Regulatory Authority. You have been very instrumental and very focused. Allow me also to thank the staff and management of UBRA. You have supported the cause. Allow me also to thank my predecessors, the first interim CEO, Mr. Moses Bekabyo, the Chief Executive Officer, my immediate predecessor, Mr. Bonyi David Nyakundi, the government of Uganda who have supported us, providing us with all the resources that we need from the day UBRA started up to now, the regulated entities, the stakeholders, the fund managers, the custodians, the administrators. Without you, we would not be talking of structures of governance in this market. And of course, the members who are saving, who have trusted us, who have continuously saved with the different schemes. Allow me to assure you that as we deliberate on this direction for the next years of service, at UBRA, we shall continue to protect your retirement benefits. May God bless you. May God bless your families. May God bless our country, Uganda. Let us celebrate as we thank God.
Is the visionary person behind Delta Education Collective, who is working with the community in this area to change the way we view primary education, with the view that every child given the best education can compete globally. Coming out of Uganda, and of course, we're going to dig into the story of how and what inspired her to get to where she is. Meredith, welcome to the CEO Bench.
Thank you so much for having me, Eddie. It's so great to be here.
Great. We want to start from a very interesting lighter note of actually knowing you a little bit deeper. In a nutshell, if I am looking to know who you are, who is Meredith Bate?
Well, that story starts when I was in primary school myself. I grew up in a little town outside of Boston in the United States, and there were two main things that I experienced when I was a primary school kid. The first one is that my town had a great public school, and every kid in my town had access to that school for free. And my mom was on the Parent-Teacher Association, the PTA, and I just thought every kid in the world had a great free education provided by the government in their town and supported and held accountable by the parents who were in that town. Sometimes the school wouldn't have enough money for something, but the parents wanted it to happen, so they would raise it among themselves as part of the PTA. And sometimes the school would do something that was not what it should be, or the results came back and they weren't what it should be, and the parents would put pressure on the school and hold it accountable. And I saw that in action growing up, and again, just sort of thought that that was status quo for everyone. And another thing that I saw in my very privileged, very wealthy, very white town growing up is that money doesn't buy happiness. And it for sure, as I have learned in my life, can make things easier, because if you don't have enough, things are really hard, and I don't want to undermine that. But I was in a town where everybody had enough, and still money wasn't making people happy. So it made me realize, okay, well, if money is not going to make me happy, I need to find something in my life that provides more meaning than that, and that's what I was looking to find and pursue.
I want to take you back a little bit, Meredith, from that story. The passion definitely drive from somewhere. But let me take you a little bit back. Meredith, the child. And we want to know you from the ancestry point of view and building to where you are today with all this passion going on in your life.
Yeah, my dad is from Kansas in the middle of the country. Grew up in a sort of farming community outside of Kansas City. And my mom, her parents are actually British, and she was a first-generation American. And I am the product of those two wonderful humans.
Okay.
Yeah.
And growing up as a child, take us a little bit more about the childhood, life. In America, is it the same like in Africa? In Africa, we say it takes a village to raise a child. We don't know whether that's the same case in America. Will you take us through?
I was the youngest of two, so that is a way in which our little family was quite different than a lot of families here in Uganda. My parents only had and only wanted 2 children. My dad worked and my mom stayed at home and raised us full time. My dad was an international lawyer. He was very passionate about the environment and very passionate about human rights and worked on the legal side of both of those things. My mom felt like her responsibility and her purpose was raising us into being great citizens. And her responsibility, since the government was taking care of the school and she, as part of the PTA, was an active citizen in that process, she wanted to also support our development in exposure. And she thought of that about 2 things, one of which was seeing the world, taking us on different adventures and showing us what is out there, and making us feel like global citizens. So we got a lot more exposure than a lot of people have access to here, again, going back to privilege and financial resources. But then she also thought an important aspect of exposure was seeing the people living in our own backyard who didn't have as much as we did. So we did a lot of volunteering in local homeless shelters and soup kitchens, and from a very young age, being exposed to both volunteering and traveling, I was just very passionate and enjoyed both of them quite a bit.
Meredith, the show looks at, or this program looks at leadership. I want to start from a very light note. To you, what is leadership to you?
That's a great question. I've heard a lot of different definitions, but I would say my personal definition is being a really good coach and support. I have, personally, the way that I think about leadership is that my responsibility is to use sort of whatever skills and abilities I have to bring out the superpowers and talents of the people that I'm working with and inspire them and motivate them and have them take ownership of whatever it is that they're driving and working on, and just stand in the background and support and challenge and hold accountable, but mostly ignite and see what people can do when they're really fully turned on.
Wow. And on that note, you've talked about self-leadership. What is self-leadership to you?
Well, one of the things that we have in our organization is something called self-management, which some people say, oh, that's about managing yourself. But actually, we think about it as an organizational structure. And so what that means is, as an organization, we don't have a hierarchical structure. We don't have a boss and then managers and then, supervisors and then field team. We think of ourselves as a forest. And in a forest, there's no boss. There are trees and there are birds and there's butterflies, and every entity has their own role and their own specific purpose. But no other entity is telling that entity what to do, or the tree isn't saying, no, sparrow, you're not allowed to come and sit on me, or you're supposed to be over there. because everyone is managing themselves. And in the complex systems that exist in our global world and the amount of change that we have to constantly be able to adapt to, we think self-management is one of the best systems of management that can actually lead in this global world that we live in. And particularly for our specific context, our values aren't really about hierarchy. They're about every individual stepping up and being an active citizen. And so it was sort of counter to our values to have this traditional hierarchy structure, so we dismantled it and now operate more like a forest.
Wow. On that note, we've talked about leadership and self-leadership rating. I want to take you straight to one of the things that usually we would like to know. Leaders are visionary people. And we want to know from you as a person the vision and the global impact of what you're starting to do in Uganda. What inspired you to start Delta Education Collective as one, and how does your vision for Delta Education Collective impact on the plans for education in Uganda, for that matter, and how does it align with the global standards of, if it does exist, of education for everyone? We talked about education for all the children, but actually when you look at it down, it's not the case. So how does your vision impact, how does things start? Could you give us a context of how you started this whole thing?
Yeah. Eddie, that's a great question, but it has lots and lots of parts. So when I start to go off kilter, you can bring me back. So my education journey started in primary school, and then I went on to a great secondary school, and then university in Tennessee in the United States, and learned that there was a career that combined my two favorite things, which was travel and volunteering, and they called it international development. And I specifically focused on community development. And I had a great professor there, Professor Partridge, who just harped on and on about how whatever you do, make sure that the people who are benefiting from whatever you're working on are the ones in the decision-making position about how these resources are being spent, how this model is being designed. And I took that to heart, but it also just made very logical sense to me that, of course, the people on the ground are the people who know what they're doing and what could solve their challenges. And I was confused about why he just kept coming back to this and kept coming back to this until I moved into the field of international development and saw, oh, that's because very few organizations actually operate that way. So my first experience actually was as a primary school teacher in the townships outside Port Elizabeth in South Africa. And I learned three important things in that 6-month period of my first job. The first one is that I'm not suited well to the classroom. I took over a math class once, and I basically left all of the answers to the test that we were taking that day on the board because we'd been going over them the day before. And then I collected all the tests and saw that most of the kids had failed the exam anyways. And that is when I developed just like a heartfelt, deep appreciation for the superpower of teachers and realized that that's not where my superpowers lie necessarily. And then the second thing I learned is how unfair education is around the world. That if I compare the education that I got for free in my little town in Massachusetts to the education that was available in the townships outside Port Elizabeth in 2004 in South Africa, it was just chalk and cheese. You couldn't compare them. There weren't really books in the classrooms. It was really hard for the kids to get to those classrooms. We did actually have running water on the grounds of the school, and we did have some government support for lunch, which was great. But these kids were just at such a disadvantage. And I realized, okay, what do people need in order to thrive in our lives? If we're expected to support our families and have our kids have a better life in the future than we inherited ourselves, what does that look like? How do we do that? And I realized we need some way to make an income to support our family, access to very high quality health care, and then access to high quality education. And without those three things, people just can't be expected to thrive. And sure, ones will every once in a while, but we're leaving the fate of the world up to chance, and it doesn't make any sense to me. So that's really when I got the passion for some sort of systemic approach to improving education, because I knew if we could educate people, then they would take care of having doctors in their communities and also figuring out ways to make great livelihoods.
Wow. In the context of education, in the context of the mission, do you think that you are achieving this mission since you started? And in this particular one, I want to look at the Delta's mission to transform education through community-driven initiative. How did you cross from South Africa then to Uganda? I mean, East Africa, Southeast Africa. How did you cross from there? And then what's the journey like from here? What's the context of this journey?
I got here serendipitously and very luckily. I was working with an education NGO in South Africa, and they couldn't take interns that summer, and I needed an internship that particular year in 2005 in order to graduate from university on time. And so I reached out to a bunch of friends. One of them was in Uganda. She said, yeah, come here. And I said, great, where's Uganda? Sure. And 2 weeks later, I was on a plane and actually staying in forest cottages in Bukoto before it was finished. They rented them out in order to get some money to finish up the hotel. So stayed in this beautiful place and just fell in love with this incredible, chaotic, wonderful, friendly, warm country. Had a great experience that summer and ended up telling my mom, oh, I think that this is my place now. I don't need to go anywhere else. I don't need to come back and finish my degree. I'll do that another time. Uganda is now my forever home. I'm here, I'm home. And so my mom is a wonderful mother and said, okay, if you really love this place called Uganda and you're gonna stay there, I wanna come and see it. I wanna come and see what you've fallen in love with. And so she came out and then she said, oh, by the way, you know, that ticket that you booked home, even if you don't take it, what is it? Because I think I'll book the same flight home just in case you do come and make that decision, whatever. So we went on a little trip around the country and I showed her all the things that I love about being here. But she convinced me, you know, coming back for just 10 months would enable me to have a degree and have a lot more opportunities in the future as opposed to staying here for as long as it took and then trying to get back home at some point. So then in my graduation party dinner, about 10 months later, because I did go back to the US to finish my degree, my grandmother said to my mom, oh, Liz, do you remember when you went out to Uganda to get Meredith and make sure she came home and graduated? That was so great. I'm so glad you did that. And I looked at my mom and I was like, you came to see why Uganda is the best place in the world, not to bring me back. And she just sort of smiled at me. And then 2 weeks later, again, I was on a plane back here. And yeah, I just love it here. And my passion for education started in South Africa, but it blossomed here. And I realized I could have an incredible lifestyle and life here without compromising on some of the security and safety constraints I experienced in South Africa. Yeah. So my passion since then has been to try and figure out what it looks like to revolutionize the quality of our primary education system, because it is so fundamental to our development as a country moving forward. But it took me a really long time to figure out how to do that. And it was only about 6 years ago that we started to sort of have a model come into play.
Okay. Well, you are on the CEO bench. My name is Eddie Okela, and on the show today in this particular discussion is a lady who has been in Uganda by love and by passion. Meredith, we're going to take a break. And when we come back from this break, we want to look at community-centered approach and the global relevance of the program you're trying to do in Uganda. And how do we get other people to be part of it? How do we get people to participate in these things? Do you have room for people to come? Or it is me and my small little team? The rest you can stay wherever you are. Stay right there. We'll be right back after this. This is the CEO Bench. This is the CEO Bench. Welcome back from that break. And on the program today, we're talking to a lady known as Meredith Bates, who is the founder and the person pushing the agenda behind the community education in Noya District. She's on the program today, and we are talking about leadership, vision, and mission, and how do we get these things to be known to everyone across the country. So Meredith, before we went for a break, we were talking about your passion and how you went back to the US and then coming back and how the whole dream started. I like the fact that your mother was being very systematically smart to try and get you. She came here for holiday, but her ultimate goal was really to take you back to the US. Obviously, you have a calling in your life, and we want to understand that from a community-centered approach of what you're trying to do and what is its global relevance. And my question to you goes, how do you ensure that the community-driven approach of Delta Education Collective can be adopted and scaled? And how can it be a sustainable educational movement that can improve the Ugandan education system and give opportunity to the young people in primary school, particularly in less privileged areas or in villages or in communities where they do not have enough resources to go? And how does that actually improve or help better government plans as far as education is concerned, and how does this align to the global standard of education we're looking for?
I think, what you bring up is so prescient that, everybody in the community has to be working towards the same thing, but also everybody in the country has to be working towards the thing. But also education inequality is a global challenge that we're all facing. 70% of 10-year-olds coming out of COVID couldn't read and understand a basic sentence. 70%. So what that means is that any one of us who's listening that could do that at 10, we are some of the privileged few. And how much better would this world be that we live in if it was everybody who had access to the quality education that we did, not just the privileged few? I think that, we'd be in a different place on climate change, we'd be in a different place on all sorts of conflicts and violence around the world. We'd be in a different place in the innovation and the technology that's available and possible today. We would all be prospering more if all of us had access to this education foundation. And I really come back to all the time just the concept of there but by the grace of God go I. We're all part of some sort of divine lottery system that says Eddie's going to be born into this family and Meredith's going to be born into this family and a bear is going to be born into that family, and therefore this is your lot in life. And that's not fair. And it doesn't make any sense, and it doesn't benefit us. So that needs to change. But how? The question is how. And making sure that what we're doing in the community is aligned with what the country is driving towards, which is aligned with what the global goals and standards are driving towards, is so critical to all of that. So if you talk about the Millennium Development Goals, started in 2000, the focus on education there was the second goal, and it was universal primary education for everyone. And Uganda was actually ahead of the game on that with our UPE legislation that went into place in 1997. % of kids in low and middle income countries actually were present and enrolled in primary school, which is huge. Another thing is that the number of kids who are school-aged who were out of school actually halved between the start of the Sustainable Development Goals and the Millennium Development Goals. And the final thing is that we made a ton of progress on gender parity and inclusive access to education. So the access piece, which is so critical for education, let's get kids into classrooms. We made so much progress on behind this goal that everyone was pushing towards. But what they realized in the process is that just having kids have their bottoms in seats in classrooms doesn't necessarily lead to learning. Yeah. And so the focus of the Sustainable Development Goal 4 for the next however many years is actually quality education. If these kids are sitting in school, how do we make sure that they're learning? And that filters beautifully down into the Ministry of Education and Sports vision, which is quality education and sports for all Ugandans. And that then trickles down into what we're trying to do as just a small fry in this whole big global ecosystem for quality and inclusive and equitable education is quality education by and for all. And so for us, when we think about our model and how we measure it, it has 4 pieces. One is access. By and for all. That for all is the access piece. How do we make sure that all kids are getting into the classroom? Because still today in Uganda, 50% of kids that start primary school don't finish it. for lots of reasons. But then the second piece is quality education. So how do we make sure that when they're actually in their schools, they're learning what they need to learn to be competitive on this global playing field we're now playing on? And then finally, for Delta, this whole thing comes together when it's by all. When every single citizen actually plays our role, be it parents, be it students, be it teachers, be it local leaders from LC1 all the way to district chairperson, because we're only working in one district so far. Everyone needs to play their role, and if they do, it creates that ecosystem that supports and holds the schools accountable to achieve quality education. And so, for example, last year in 2023, we were able to, as a whole movement working in NOYA, bring back 800 students who had dropped out of school back into schools. And so that was really exciting. Now for quality education, how do we measure that? Mostly what we're looking at right now is primary leaving examination results. So in NOYA district in particular, we used to be 167 out of 176 districts in the country. So bottom 5% in 2022. And in 2023, we actually came up to 143rd out of 176 districts, which means we moved up from the bottom 5% to the bottom 20%, which is a huge jump in 1 year and was an incredible job by the team on the ground. The second thing we look at is the number of kids who get a Division I, because that shows the number of kids who get access to a significant amount more opportunities and scholarships and ways of moving forward that they wouldn't have otherwise had. So in NOYA's been a district for about 10 years, and we have never had more than 49 kids in Division I. Last year in 2022, we had 47, and in 2023, we bumped it up to 57. So the communities were ridiculously proud of what they had achieved and how they had worked together with their schools to make that happen, and we're really motivated by that. But it's not just the kids who perform excellently that we want to celebrate, it's making sure that all kids are benefiting from this. So the final piece that we look at is the pass rate. What is the percentage of kids who pass the primary leaving examination? And our district education officer looks at 1 through 3 as passing. He doesn't consider Division IV passing, even though sometimes at a national level we do. But in NOYA, if you look at 1 through 3, about 60% on average for the last 10 years have passed the national PLE exam. And in 2023, we bumped it up to 66%. So that may feel like a small increase, but in just 1 year, it's incredible what these communities were able to do within their own resources. And then the final piece that we look at for quality education is actually basic literacy and numeracy. And that takes additional resources to measure, but we hope to go into a second district in 2025 and set up that district so that we can actually do some rigorous research and testing around literacy and numeracy rates, because it's really hard to compare PLE results to any country around the world because they don't all have the same PLE test, which makes sense. Uganda needs its own test for its own context. But we also need some universal metrics to use, and so literacy and numeracy is what we focus on for that.
Okay. Thank you very much. I want to just pick your mind. Very great stuff you're doing there. And from a leadership perspective, we look at change management. Obviously, you have been managing change. You've been managing change from the US community of affluent people, going through very good educations. One would expect you to have followed your dad to become a lawyer, become a serious person or a doctor, you know, but not to listen to your mom who was a stay-at-home mom to look after her children. And then you managed this change to South Africa, from South Africa, you know, to East Africa. And now we are here talking about Delta in Uganda. My question, therefore, is the emphasis on local community empowerment is key. I mean, what would you have to say about, do these people own this? Yes, I know you've given us very good statistics, but just summarize it. Do they own this process? Do they feel like they're involved? Is it something that government needs to change their approach and actually make the community more empowered to be responsible? That if a child is coming from this family, then I must make sure that this child goes to school, or we must make sure that these children in this community goes to school. How is it working?
Yeah. I appreciate that you call it change management, this process of creating ownership, because it doesn't happen overnight. It's a really slow process. But the other thing that we've actually been managing from the beginning is I talked to a friend who's an expert in behavior change communication. And I was like, but how do you measure whether or not what you're putting out there is actually changing people's minds, and then that changing people's minds will actually change their behavior? And she said, we look at three things. How important is that thing to that person? And for us, we talk about getting a Division I in PLE. How important is that to you and your family? The second piece that she said that she looks at is control. What sense of agency do you personally have over making that happen? Can you actually control the outcome? So do you have control over making sure that you can get a Division I in PLE? And then the final thing we ask is hope, likelihood. How much hope do you have that this is possible for you, for your family, for your child, for your community, your school? And what that meant essentially is that sometimes hope was high, but likelihood was low. Sometimes after the pandemic, hope was low and likely everything was down. And what we saw in moving from 2022 to 2023 is it was the first year that hope went up, likelihood went up, value and importance went up, and personal sense of agency went up. And so to see that the actual numbers are moving in PLE performance at the same time as the mindsets are changing and realizing that this is possible, I can make it happen, and it's important, is really exciting for us to see. And to your point about the role of government, it's really hard for the role of government to play like citizens play your role, because government is inevitably top down. And Uganda has done a lot of incredible things in trying to decentralize decisions and government, and it's difficult. So this is where the role of civil society comes in, that we need to sort of activate the base and activate people to realize what our role is, so that we can then collaborate with government and the decisions that they're making and the policies that they're making. Education reform, it can't be top down, but it also can't be bottom up. It has to be a collaboration between everyone in government and all of our citizens working together to make that happen. And there are certain things that the government can do to help establish that. Because we know that our president is very popular in this country, and so is his wife, who happens to be the Minister of Education. What a dream team. When they come out and say things like, your role is to make sure that you pay PTA fees if your school is saying, and you guys as a community agree that you need to do that, or your role as a parent isn't just to send your kid to school, it's actually to go follow up at school and make sure that your kid is learning and find out what's going on there. When Mzee and Mama say things, people listen and they do it. And so there are things that they can do in all of the different communities and people that they talk to continue encouraging and motivating that spark.
Well, this is the CEO Bench. My name is Eddie Okela Meredith Bett, and we are talking about Delta Education Collective right here on the CEO Bench, talking to her as the visionary person behind Delta Education Collective. She came up with the idea, sold it to the community, and we want to see if the community is speaking onto this thing, and where can, how can this help align to the government plan and to the global standards. And we're talking about what kind of support that would the community and of course our organization need. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we'll be talking about addressing the global and local educational challenges, borrowing from these models that is being tested in Noya district at the moment. Stay right there. We'll be right back after this break. Welcome back from the break. This is the CEO Bench, and on this particular episode of the program, we are talking to the founder and the lady behind the Delta Education Collective, found in northern Uganda, in Noya district. Meredith, welcome back to the program. Are there challenges that you face along the way in trying to put this together? And how would you think we can address it?
Yeah, there have been a lot of challenges. We as a global community, we face a lot of challenges in handling education inequity around the world, and it is the most urgent challenge, I think, that we need to solve. And what is so beautiful about this global challenge is that Uganda is just a perfect microcosm for looking at all the different things that can get in the way, especially in a low-resourced environment. And most of the environments where we are facing global education inequity, there are very few resources. But Uganda, as you know, is one of the fastest growing countries in the world, with 50% of our population below the age of 15. So it's super urgent. We need to get those kids have a great foundation in education. But then also 60% of 12-year-olds either can't read or can't do basic math. And that's also urgent. You know, if most of our population is below the age of 15, we have to make sure that as many of them as possible are literate and numerate, and that's where our schools come in and are otherwise failing them. And then also, as we know, education doesn't live in a vacuum. It feeds our economy. And so the fact that 40% of us live on less than $2 a day is largely because of, or starts with, the lack of education foundation. And so we started in Noya district in particular because that's was at the time the 5th worst performing district in the country. And we figured, you know what, let's start where the challenges are highest. And we face a lot of challenges every day, but the communities have shown us that there isn't really a challenge that they can't overcome if they put their mind to it and work together. And so all we do is help them figure out how to work together on something that they've already decided is one of the most important things for themselves, their kids, and their communities. So what we're hoping to do is expand to a 2nd district in 2025, and then continue expanding to more and more districts. We work extremely closely with the district education officer under his wonderful leadership in Noya, and will continue to do so, working very closely with the government at a local level wherever we work. And then also at some point, when we get big enough, we're going to approach the ministry and say, this is what your people are doing out there in the field in their own, resources and abilities and wisdom and skills, and they're hitting various ceilings. And, if we're working in 2,000 schools, these 50 have said that their challenge is textbooks, or these ones have said it's classroom blocks, or these ones have said it's curriculum, or these ones have said it's teacher training or a UPE grant or whatever it is. Let's do some innovation pilots in collaboration with all these communities that are already doing their best in the schools, and bring all that data back to the ministry essentially as their R&D support arm, because they don't have the skills and resources and abilities to do all that on the ground. So we would just partner with them and say, hey, this is what we're learning. This is what your communities were able to do by themselves. This is what they're able to do with these different policy interventions. These are the things that are easy about these policy interventions. And to your point, these are the things that are really challenging in implementing these great ideas. How can we work together and actually see a national education transformation in the country?
So you talk about challenges that have been faced, and you talk about the creative ways that you already see by implementing this program is giving us, and you see a bedrock of where we can actually begin to pick some of the R&D and research and development that we need as far as education is concerned. By taking these major issues like these dropouts that you talked about, kids with very low literacy levels, what are the potential of the strategy of Delta going forward, and who would you need in this space to come in to say, hey, wait, where you've reached, I think you're doing a good thing, we can start from there. I want you to look into that, and then as well as give us, the success that you already have, if you measure it at this point. What is success rate looking like from where you started, from where you are right now? And then give us an understanding and give the person who is watching the show, the person who is following right now, what is that one thing that you think if we do together, it will take us to the global world?
I think the thing that's most exciting about our model is that it costs $10 per child per year. So about 35,000 shillings per child per year. And that's a pretty small amount of money that we're trying to leverage from global donors. But most of the resources and expertise and enthusiasm is actually coming from the local communities. So nothing is actually stopping people in your own communities, wherever you are in Uganda, from just working with your, pupils, teachers, SMC and PTA, local leaders, and getting those people together in your annual general meeting and saying, guys, what are the 5 things that we can do to most improve education in our school? Who wants to take the lead on each one of those 5 things? And then see what happens. Because that is free. That's done in existing meetings. You don't even need extra sodas or extra biscuits, or all of those things are part of the school ecosystem already today. So it just takes people having a really active citizen approach and having some support. So we can, if you want to do that in your community, let us know and we'll give you everything we know about what works and what doesn't. And essentially have like a community activist, community education activist in a box, like module basically, that says if you want to do this in your school, here's a manual about how you would do it, and maybe here's a social media group where you can share ideas and lessons and things that worked and things that didn't. So what we're doing isn't rocket science, but it doesn't mean that it's easy either. It takes a lot of time and energy and effort, but you don't need an organization called Delta to do it. So we want to come up with this sort of manual that allows anybody to do it, be it in Uganda or in Brazil or in China or in the United States, wherever you are where you don't think that there's enough support or accountability in your community of your school, and that would help improve the outcomes. We want to provide support from whatever we've learned in our process. And so there's lots of different ways we could create that global network, but what I'm thinking about now is essentially like a Rotary International, where there are some guiding visions and guiding values and guiding manuals and processes about how you can do things, but everything is actually led by the local chapters. And they can take what works and scrap the rest and figure out new things, but also share those things across the whole network of what's working and what's not working, and create partnerships across those networks. If these ones are really good at making sure that our textbooks are getting to the right place, but these ones are really good at teacher training, and these ones are really good at literacy training or whatever, how do we share all of that across a global scope?
Okay, fantastic. Thank you very much, Meredith. I want to, as we head into the close of this interview, I want to look at the expansion and the local impact and partnerships. All of these things that you talk about are beautiful. But if you don't have somebody who is sitting out there who believes in what you're trying to do, the resource can only be as small as the envelope that rotates within you and your team. My question to you is, what are your plans for expanding Delta and this new activity that you have, this new idea that you invented, beyond the impact in Uganda? If I'm watching you from anywhere in the world, and I feel like I want to be part of this, and I'm happy to hear this story coming, where do I start? What are these things that you have in place that will allow me to envision the collaboration with you in Uganda and perhaps any other place that, we would want to be part of? Yes.
Yeah, thank you so much for asking that. What we hope to create essentially in Uganda is a center for excellence that globally can share all of what we're learning and learn all of what everybody else is learning who's trying similar things, and have that be some sort of technology hub that allows people to talk on social media and compare ideas and have a communication element, but then also submit data and actually mine that data for where things are moving the fastest and where things are moving the slowest, and how to compare and contrast and learn from one another in this global network. We, of course, if anybody has funds that they're interested in putting into leveling the global inequities in education, we are very happy to take them and invest them into all that we're doing. And sometimes what people don't have is funds, but what they do have is excitement and desire to change their own community where they are. And we just invite those people to reach out to us, see how we can collaborate, see what we can learn from them, see what they can learn from us, and eventually, as a global community, change the state of our world.
Wow. If I'm watching you from somewhere and I hear you talk very passionate about these things, which obviously is at the core of your heart, I'll be tempted to ask, what does a leadership team look like? What does the structure look like before I can come in and begin to think about how to help you, expand. What does your leadership look like? What does your structure at the grassroots look like? If I take off Meredith from this conversation right now, can it succeed? We're talking about the law of legacy, and we're talking about how do we expand this to go beyond you?
Yeah. Thank you. Right now we're about 5 years in, and I think it's hard for any organization to exist beyond the visionary's vision at 5 years. But in 5 years' time, hopefully that will be a very different story. And the leadership team and what this looks like in NOYA, for example, is we have 20 full-time team members and about 40 part-time team members. And those 20 full-time team members sit on committees. So instead of having an HR manager, we have an HR committee, which has 5 coaches on it. Instead of having somebody in charge of monitoring and evaluation and impact, we have a Merle committee and 5 coaches who sit on that committee. Instead of having a finance manager, we have a finance committee. And so we have about 9 of those committees that are running the day-to-day operations of the organization. And those committees, every single coach changes which 2 committees they sit on every single year. So every coach over time gets to know what it means to run HR in an organization and run finance in an organization. And this is one of the ways that our forest works without having some sort of top-down hierarchy. It's actually the coaches deciding for themselves how decisions should be made. And the ethos that we have around that is something we call proximate decision making, which basically means if this decision affects you the most, Eddie, you should be making that decision. If it affects the school the most, the school should be making that decision. If it affects pupils the most, the pupils should be making that decision. If it affects, the whole team, like a lot of HR team decisions do, then the HR team comes up with a proposal and puts it to the rest of the team, and the rest of the team votes yes or no, and what everybody agrees is what goes. And that sort of circles structure where we have these different committees running the Delta Education Collective team. We hope to have that same structure in all the different districts that we go to, so each district will be its own chapter, essentially, that is run in this way without any sort of typical hierarchy system. Now, what's my role in all this? Right now, it's fundraising and looking to bring the resources that they need on the ground for the $35,000 per child per year, and then also coach. This circles, committees, not having a typical hierarchy system, it's confusing. And it takes a lot of time and energy to change, especially when you go to your church and it's hierarchy. You go to your family, hierarchy. You go to your clan, hierarchy. There's a lot of hierarchy that exists throughout our society. So we have to allow ourselves to sort of get adjusted to that new way of doing things. And that's my job as coach, to help the team navigate some of those challenges. But as we go to more and more districts, it will be the NOYA team that helps the second district team figure out how to do some of those things. Or maybe we'll need more team coaches and we'll figure that out too. But we're still, designing this whole program as we expand. And I think having these committees be rotational and be the decisions being made by the people most affected by those decisions, that's the secret to our success moving forward.
Wow. Meredith, we're going to the close of this conversation, and we're talking about this on the CEO Bench. As you're following, please give us your comment, share, like, and tell us what you would want to do. And if you feel compelled to be part of this conversation, please send us a message and we'll definitely put you through to Meredith. But have you ever been a leader before?
Yeah, in different organizations and different student groups and basically any sort of community that I'm part of. I love building community and communities of alumni that I'm part of, or any community that I'm part of. I like being an active member and helping to build that community to support people in it.
Wow. And that said, it brings me to this question. Every day you wake up in the morning, what inspires you to do what you do?
Mostly when I wake up in the morning, I pinch myself, because I think a lot of us in this life are trying to figure out what it looks like to live our best life. And to me, it's having a sense of meaning and purpose, and that I am working every day with a group of people that inspire me towards a purpose that I think is the most important in the world, and uses my unique gifts and talents to help push that forward. It gives me a sense of meaning and enthusiasm and energy that I think a lot of people don't have access to without that strong sense of purpose and the ability to focus their attention on that purpose on a daily basis. So I just feel extremely lucky and excited that that will hopefully create the world that we all deserve to live in someday.
Wow. The CEO Bench is about leadership, self-leadership, change management, and transformation. Let's close this with transformation. What is your view of transformation, and how do you see your dream in the next 15, 20 years in Uganda?
You know, we were having a chat earlier, Eddie, where you were telling me about all sorts of statistics that say that Uganda is the most entrepreneurial country in the world and also the most culturally diverse country in the world. Those incredible gifts of this country you can see every day you walk outside. My small contribution to that will be making sure that every single rich, culturally enhanced person and naturally entrepreneurial person has the education foundation that they need to thrive and pursue whatever purpose they have. The world that we live in, the country that we live in, and the world that we live in, when all of that is true, is going to be a completely different place for all of us. And I just can't wait to see the fruits.
And family-wise, somebody would say, you can't talk about transformation when you're not transformed yourself. How is your family life like, you as a person? And when you're working with the community in Uganda, they're more about families and they're more about, and the things they're talking about is family structures. Do you guys talk about family vision in this context, that if you're building something for your children, what do you think is motivating these communities to now say, I need to make sure that these grades that we're talking about improve from the story of being very low, bottom 5% to being now middle 25%. What do you think is motivating them?
I think for most of us, it's our family and our children's future that's motivating them. I am very lucky to have a wonderful husband here who I adore. And he has 7 children, and so watching them grow and prosper and become the incredible humans that they are is a really fun process to do. But I can't take credit for that. They're just wonderful kids, and I consider Delta my baby, and I am so excited to watch Delta grow and thrive and flourish. And my mom, who has such a great influence over me, is regularly like, so, grandkids, is that gonna happen? And I'm like, oh, Mom, but at Delta, we're working with 20,000 kids. And actually this year, it's gone up to 23,000. So you have 23,000 grandchildren. Yeah. You don't need just 1 or 2. And she's not fully convinced, but yeah, I just see this as my baby, and I love watching it grow.
Well, so thank you so much, Meredith, first of all, for coming. I want you to look into this camera, and if I am watching you from America, from Noya, from Western Uganda, from Eastern Uganda, from South Africa, from wherever I'm watching you from, what is that one message you will give to that one person that is watching you right now, and what would you say to them, and how can they be part of your dream? Look into the camera.
So we at Delta have a motto that we go by, which is, we are the ones we have been waiting for, which is the last line of a June Jordan poem. And we can wait around for somebody else to fix this local and global education and equity challenge, or we can stand up now and do our part. If that's being an active citizen in your community in Noya or South Africa or the US or China or wherever, I challenge you to take on that challenge and start organizing your community around 5 things that will improve education in your school. If you are in a ministry of education somewhere and want to take an active interest in what's happening on the ground, I encourage you to reach out to your citizens and see what they're already doing that will make an incredible impact. And if you're somebody who doesn't have the time or, the focus on particularly education to do this, but you have resources that you want to put into this, fund Delta or fund somebody in your community that's doing something to make a dramatic change in their education and their school. Because it starts literally one school at a time, and that's how we're going to have this global transformation in our lifetimes. And there's just absolutely nothing more important and urgent. So let's all play our role. We are the ones we've been waiting for.
Wow, we are the one we have been waiting for. So we will say, we are the one you have been waiting for on the CEO bench. So thank you so much for coming to the CEO bench. And for everybody who is watching the show, it's a $10 per child per year. That comes to 35,000 Uganda shillings per child per year. It's just incredible, amazing what that kind of amount of money can do to change the child's life in somewhere, anywhere, or somewhere in Uganda, but particularly starting from the children in Noya district. It's the CEO Bench. My name is Eddie Okela, Meredith Betts, and the Delta Education Collective will bring this to a close. Like, share, and comment. If you want to be a part of this, write to us and we'll definitely write to you. Until then, keep it the CEO Bench.
Every day with you is magic.
Say after me. Wapoyo Yesu. Say. Wapoyo Yesu. Wapoyo Yesu. Hallelujah, 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 amen, amen, amen. 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 Amen.
La moye agora ti kwere maripe ti kwere la tolim la kilinga got mala pere lokum ti kwere lokum.
Father God, the creator of universe and the creator of humankind, I want to thank you sincerely, deep in our hearts, for the gift of your son Johnson and the gift of your daughter Mama Father, we want to thank you for the gift of the children. We have a testimony to testify. We thank you for the 47 years. Out of the 47 years, we have the children here. I pray for a blessing without sorrow. May the peace, which is greater than human being can understand, be in your hearts, Johnson and Mama. Be in the hearts of the children. Be in the hearts of everybody connected to you, the family members who are standing here. And the blessing of God the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit rest upon your project, rest upon your success, and all what you are doing, upon your travel outside and within, and rest within you and within all of us, now and forevermore.
Amen.
Praise the Lord.
Faded wedding photograph, you and me in our first dance. Our eyes are closed, we're lost in one sweet embrace. Since those days the world has changed, but our love remains the same. God knows we've had our share of saving grace.
Amor wele ma wara menina man gin ma pire tek ma mira wochu don lobo jakayot ka winye ka waro puonyo jowa lutino wa wen ma puonj mira nyome ki mado nyome ka chiel gi ludiro ni mira go winye yot gi puonj me winye ani ning igang wakany ya chuli mon peki wargi lima ki chwala ni ene e bere la nyut ni ngate wa ko ke kany gini eni odong maka kare kany bere la nyut menu pe wil mo kana gino mo matiri ke ken loke dogo da loke dogo luwen kau neno gero bini hot ngara chiel no ge lo la wore in ma pe gere ni ko en lingo dong dokke mi ro tu ben ma be lok oti pe we ko kat ki do gola cher wo u tiek wona rio amira woju ni mak lu ba ko bene wo ko met wo me ko ki mi oti apoe matek
be apoe wundu juba an ma chal la poñ tu punya ko ci ko loro ma dong do ana la punya ni pe loro ma pol da po wuntu twal ju paloga pichung kedwa paloga po wa wa cheloto ko biru cha du ku meno mo ay ke nu gu dana yen ni tigi cha wen o aho o rio pieni en pe maglu duru ci ngar maglu duru yu gan ne je beri tek ba o diro chen wa ke pita no mo ne pura ngwen ken ko luoni onwen kaipa la dit me luoni captain Lorenzo Darniero me bobi ipayera ara chiel kina nyera bu ngwen maka gi logani mo nyera tiji page bo baano kejo yo no ba tu twal wan wenga kwan
me awara foyo pirukan bukwa dudirario en matin wabino pigini gin luyeyo gin pelo yeyo ke ken Gitie kini ye matwero diro got lamo. Ana neno ikar machano porro mapek ikom lu dirarioni. Maomera Philip kachiel ki James guno wanu marat adada. Anene ikar ni enuni ni ye megi lega megi kitek chuin magiti kwere. Wego bella chojo winyo lega gi chitin. Mawa nene nyimwani tao paruor me polo. Poede da berjo many ye. Chamira mi poj ma ditbo tudi unyuru ni jo pa Kristo. Gin gi beri ya chiel. Gin gi ribe. Gin gi mare. Poede twalu dirna. Pien pol wan. Neno wate yere. Kwa neno je machiek. Ento lu diro eni neno gi tut. Dog neno gi bo.
Omera, kaachiel ki minodi. Congratulations. Afoe ni rocho mau kiroba mimi wukwo kibero minugum minyoro pimwaga piera angwen wiabero foe mate matika bino angeno paroga mangeni pat ki paroga matina neno ni kwa metaphor Lutela Milamo district afoyo tutalomera afoyo memaro pajo kape wadon pajo wa anga gimadon iwa afoyo mate karme gona chim chawa pa miduwo pongwena pa miduwo maria cheroriat kanelo tini robante mana nelo tini mana ngeni kwa palatini pede obo mete ki kwa lugo kanelo koman we rutina kwa ikeje ningo piu we rutin abino ipalo kaka afford 12 wata church umetegum for mera mere konya shuli for mate yeah.
Thank you all for coming so much. It's great to see everyone here and the multitude of people, the amount of sheer love that the Acholi people have for each other and that all of you have for my parents, Johnson and Venturi and Nyako. We really, really touched and really appreciate, and we're looking forward to so many good things for Acholi.
Thank you very much. I'm so grateful to every single person here today. Every individual here, I want you to know that I'm tremendously grateful for your presence here. My parents, Johnson and Venturina Nyeko, I'm so grateful for your love. I grew up seeing them as an example of how families should live together, how a couple should be together, and I'm really grateful for that example.
My mother and father, always, as we grew up, they showed us the importance of joy, the importance of peace, the importance of love in everything we do. The example of what you've shown us, the gratitude for not stopping at anything to make sure each of us get to our dreams. And through that, you've helped us indirectly also see that our dreams grow when we think of hope. My baby sister would have been standing right here, but she works at Citibank and they will not let her go even to come here with us. So I will speak on her behalf. Julie Aya is in London, but she would have been here if she could get out of work. And I also give God the glory and the gratitude for my dearly departed brother Andrew, who can't be there with us in person, but I know he's in heaven looking down and he's with us. Amen.
Can we give Peter and the children of the Nyekos a big round of applause?
Adwara mo ni dwara Dubaye kuya Mutero long mwani twea Dubaye kuya Mogo wile wa bili twea wa Dubaye kuya Kaan Dubaye kwanga Beitema Awadi kaan yay Boleye kwanga Beitema Ujoni kaan Dubaye kwanga Beitema Awadi kaan yay Boleye kwanga Beitema Mawe Kuparo nyia kwe ni idwara pin Udongi ya riaya Ikape kuma ni idwara pin Udong da da ya Uya ni nera wa Dubaye kuya Mogo tiero kwe Pea toya Awaji kaan Dubaye kwanga Beitema Ujoni kaan Olaye kwanga Beitema Ayo Naging mo peredo Yoleng maro karakara Pililili Nalawa yabayo yabado
Imagine yourself, imagine your future self. Imagine the road you want to take. Imagine the house you want to build. And when I say house you want to build, is who you want to build yourself to be. Just imagine. You can even touch your heart, because that's where everything starts. Imagine, imagine. What is it that you want to change? Is it about how you are interacting with your parents? Is it about mental health, by the way? Just take 1 minute, just 1 minute. Just imagine. Your thoughts are just so many going. I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not, so many ways you talk to yourself, and you become your worst enemy. In the beginning, it might be hard because you are used to just coming off your bed and you say, you know what, I'm not feeling good. I'm not feeling good. You speak things to yourself. But you have the power, by the way. Just imagine. There's greatness in you. Imagine. Do you feel you don't matter? Maybe you're the last child in your family and you feel you don't matter. You don't have a voice. But you do. You are someone of potential, someone of worth. When we talk about mindset, we're saying, how do we see ourselves and how do we see the world? Because it's all about you. I know teenage years are not the easiest one. I was also a teenager. So equipping you to see things a bit differently. That you are in charge. You are in charge. You're no longer a child. You are in charge. You are responsible. You can carry your own weather. You can impact the lives of others positively. You can be a happy person, by the way. Many people think as a teen, I have to be so grumpy. But you can choose to smile. You can choose to get up of your bed and say, you know what, I'm going to be happy today, regardless of what's happening around me. I can choose to have conversation with my parents instead of deciding I'm going to fold my hands, I'm not going to say anything. So this is really why we are here, to grow. I'm also here to grow. So I'm hoping in these 3 days that we will all learn from each other. So let's do a quick check-in this morning. So you are here, you are taking the 7 habits of highly effective teens. I hope you all know that this is the course that you are taking. It's a 3 days course. We will make it as interactive as we can, but we need you. We need you because it's a dialogue. It's a dialogue. It is a time to share. It's a time to grow. I as a mother, I as a parent, I as a sister, I also have areas that I want to grow. So I need you. The reason why we do this wisdom circle is that every one of you has wisdom. So 1 is being proactive, taking initiative, being in charge, and saying, I'm in charge. I'm responsible for my life and where it's leading me to. Number 2, I want to start with the end in mind. So where do I see my future self? And then you walk the path for it. You do those things that will matter to that vision coming to pass. So it's habit 3. We see habit 4. When you master the first 3 habits, the first 3 habits are personal habits. It is me. Then from me, I move to us. So think win-win is a mindset of abundance, of mutual benefit. Every time I'm interacting with people, I interact with people with an abundance of heart. Then we have habit 5, which is seek first to understand, then to be understood, which is the habit of communication. How do we communicate with each other? So those 2 habits are we. And then the 6th habit, which is the habit of creative cooperation, or collaboration, that habit is now, it is we. How do we come together? How can 1 + 1 become 100? So through creativity, through abundance of heart, remember you have to come with an abundance of heart. How do I, when I come with you, I come to work with you, I synergize, I do something even better than what I thought I could do on my own. And then 7 is the habit of renewal. When you work hard, when you manage your time well, when you take initiative, what can you do to renew your body, your heart, your mind? All those things that we do as individuals creatively to resource ourselves. Do we read? Do we walk in nature? Do we speak with friends? Do we connect with others? Do we laugh more? How do we laugh more? Because the more we laugh, the more we connect, we're actually nourishing our souls.
You need to begin with the end in mind. You have to be able to put first things first. You have to be able to think win-win. You can't work with a friend if you can't have a think win-win attitude. No.
What is your highlight for that day?
One is always have a state of mind on when to say yes and on when to say no.
Today I learned that when you plan, for example, if I have a whole week and I'm stressed because I have so many things to do, I can put the urgent things and I do them first, then I have to go to the not urgent things, and then
I also learned like how to plan through the week. It can be like daily planning or weekly planning, and then also like setting your goals.
You have to be a good listener when someone is talking.
And also I've learned to decide after having that courage of saying no when I'm meaning it.
I need to prioritize the big rocks, the important things, before the smaller things that aren't that important.
And then what falls in quadrant 3 or 4, you can push later because it's either not urgent or not important.
What I learned was to try and create a win-win situation so that everybody's idea would be included in some sort of path or participation.
For me, I came up with this. I will influence those around me, be kind and compassionate to get people to have diverse mindsets and a great sense of independence.
The top of one mountain is the bottom of the next, so keep climbing. What I'm basically saying, today they have given you the best 3 days, but you probably look like you're on the top. Keep climbing, because when you're on top of a one mountain, you see the bottom of it. It's very easy to fall back. In other words, it's very easy for us to forget about these 7 habits of highly effective people we've learned and go back to our old ways of doing things. Not so? I summarize this for you by saying something very important. When people were speaking here, never forget to be confident when you have a chance to speak. No one will ever tell people anything better than you can tell people about yourself. My life is about documenting other people's lives. A few weeks and months ago, I walked into a village as a consultant of Mandali's Energy. And on our journey, we met this lady whose dreams stream back, way back to 1972 when she was young. Today, she has a school. Many of you people out there wanted to be part of our story. But how do you be part of a story you don't know? Perhaps we get to know Nyamungo Ellen together. Take with me and journey with me to the journey and to the road trips and to the bumpy roads of life that springs from 1972 to the 60-plus-year-old woman who now has a school, a girl whose dream was realized at 55. Ladies and gentlemen, all across the world, dreams don't die, dreams do live. And this is Nyamungo Ellen. Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
Fine, thank you.
We are happy to see you, Director.
Thank you very much.
How is your life in this village?
My life is good.
The last time we were here, you were very happy. Are you still happy?
I'm still happy.
What makes you happy every day?
You are coming here makes me so happy.
Okay.
Because that thing has not happened in my life. People coming here every day, coming to see my school. Even the district people doesn't come as you used to come.
Why do you think they don't come like that? Like they used to come?
Mostly this district people doesn't mind of private schools. They recognize primary schools better than the private schools.
Okay. Today, Ellen,
yes,
we will call you Auntie Ellen, Jaja Ellen, because you are. We want to go back to knowing you. Who is Ellen Nyamungo?
I'm Helen Nyamungo, who came from West Nile, particularly in, it is now Zungu district. The sub-county is Alangi sub-county, and then the parish is Pasai parish.
And we know Ellen. Take me through to Ellen, who was a child. What was growing up like?
I was not growing in a good life, but I came up in hard life. My dream was I want at least to start a school. That was my dream when I was still young.
Okay. I want you to tell us a little bit more about when you were still young and when you had a dream and what happened to your dream when you were young.
When I was young, I was very active in everything in the school. I can sing, I can dance, I can do everything. And teachers liked me so much. And they thought that I will bring something in the future. That is what the teachers were telling me. And my dream was when I will grow up, I should have a school and I should also drive. But I think for driving it is now too late. But my dream for school is still there.
Why do you say your dream for driving is dead when the dream for school is still alive?
I'm now very old.
But you have just done the school. It means it is possible.
I don't know. If God wishes, maybe it can be possible.
So you are in school and teachers like you so much, or they liked you so much.
Yes.
And when you were young, let's talk about the school life. You ended up somewhere from Zombo to Lira, from Lira to Oyam, from Oyam now in Noya district. One would wonder, what is Nyamungo Ellen looking for?
When I finished P7, I put my first choice in Lira Town College. Then I got second grade. By then they were just grading the total, not the aggregate. I got 155 when I was in second grade. Then I went to Lira Town College. They admitted me. I stayed there for 1 year. The second year, there was a war of this Tanzania.
One of the war of Tanzania. You're talking about the 1972 Idi Amin War?
Yes.
Ah, okay.
When they were chasing Idi Amin.
Yes. How old were you?
I was even big, but I cannot remember the year.
Okay. Continue.
Then from there, things were worse. There was a man who was a pilot, took me at their home up to young. I stayed there, but the lifestyle was not good. The man was ever beating me. Then from there, I went back to my parents. I stayed there with my parents. The man did not follow me.
This man you are talking about, you refer to, was your husband?
He was my husband.
Had he married you?
He married me.
Okay. So you are traditionally married and legally married to this day?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm not legally married, but I was married by that man.
Yes.
Up to now.
Okay.
I was
he
only
was
married.
a pilot?
He was a pilot.
How did you meet your husband?
I met him in Lira town when I was in Lira College. I went back to my parents in Western Isle because the man was beating me so seriously. Then from there I stayed for almost 10 years with my parents. The man did not follow me, but I heard that the man was dead. I went there to see the burial place, and I got that he was dead. He was dead. He was truly. I have one daughter with him, yes. The girl is married in Kobokobai, certain Kakwama. Then from there, I came back here. I started business of pineapple. I pick it from Ruiru. I came and sell here in Noya. And the business was so good, I get a lot of money. There are seasons when they are not there. There are seasons when they are there.
Yes.
So I decided to come in this village to look for a garden for hiring.
So you can grow your own pineapple now?
Yes, I can grow. I came here, I started digging. I started with rice. I dug 2 acres. I got a very good sack. I got 20 sacks. By then they were buying at 100 a sack. I sold the rice. So I saw very many children here in this village who don't go to school. I said, I asked the parents, I was asking other parents, when I open a school here, can the children come to my school? Then the other parents were saying, yes, we can come. Then I went to the sub-county. I went there asking for the permission. They gave me the permission. They said the most important thing, you have to go to the DO's office. When the sub-county agreed, I came and made these local houses using grass. I rented the place.
Here in this village?
Here in Godmu.
Yes.
The house I rent is still there. That Mabati house. I was working with those Mabatis as my office. Then I made a structure using grass thatched house. The children came. 5 of them only. I was teaching them myself. Then when they go home, they say something reasonable. Then people started saying, this woman maybe she's doing a very good thing. Then the children started coming. The children came up to 70. The school was K1, K2, K3. And from there, the children started learning. They can count 1 up to 20. They can do each and everything. You greet them, how are you? They say, I'm fine. What is your name? They tell their name. How old are you? They tell their age. In what class are you? They tell their class. Then their people started.
But wait, Nyamungu. Jaja, you were in senior 2 in 1972. The war came, you dropped out.
Yes, I dropped out.
You didn't finish.
I didn't.
Where did you learn all these things? Because in a senior 2 in this country, it does not look like a person who can do something reasonable.
But our senior 2 was really powerful. Even our primary. These days, primary doesn't speak English. You go to this government primary, you cannot say anything. But during our year, things were so good.
Tell me about it.
We were taught in English throughout. from P1 up to P7. But these days, I don't know what the teachers are teaching. And yet the primary teachers are degree holders. Some are degree holders. Me, who is not a degree holder, I can teach a child better than a degree holder. I'm even proud. I cannot fear to say that one.
Wow. Well, this story is a big story. We are talking to Ellen Nyamungu. You've all seen Ellen Nyamungu. We talked about her. The story of resilience, the story of how hard work pays, the story of how you can turn around your life when she has given you the lemonade and give it the sugar or the honey. Let's go back to Nyamungu.
When I was planning to open a school, some other villagers were saying, I'm looking for a man. If not, I want to steal their children. If not, I want to steal their money. But God knows what I've come for. I said, each and everything of mine is known by God. Nobody else can know what I have come to do here. Mudding that grass-thatched house, I was doing it by myself. I just look for somebody.
You built it by yourself?
I built it by myself. I just look for I just look for somebody who can put me the trees and put the
by trees you mean the poles?
The poles, yes. I mean.
Ah, okay.
Somebody who can put me the poles, and then he put the elephant grass. And then I started mudding it myself.
Where did you learn all these things from?
I learned from my village. All these 5 classrooms was done by me. I just look for somebody to put me the structure, and then mudding, I do it myself.
So let's go back to 1972. You were telling us how you built. I asked you, said the education was very good then. Today, it is not the case. And you talked about your husband being a pilot. Was he also affected by the war? Do you think he was beating you because life was difficult? Or what happened to him? Why do you think he changed?
That was his lifestyle. When I went to him, I got that he has left 3 women. So I was the 4th. If those ones can go, what of me? I also left.
So, we are now talking about the school which is leaving. 10 years down the road, the school is here. Senior 2 dropout has built a school. Tell us about your dream, more about your dream and what happened and how you feel today.
My dream, as I told you, was just I will have a school in future. That was my dream. I will bring the teachers who are educated, who are teachers from colleges.
Why very much education? Why did you want to build a school so much?
I want education so much.
Why?
For you here, you're educated. That is why you came here. You think somebody who is not educated can come here among you?
Tell us, we don't know.
Even last time I told Stefania, she asked me, Madam, why are you so much involved in education? I said, education has brought you from America up to here. If she were not to be educated, she would have not come here.
That is very true. So...
And I want my children to be educated, my grandchildren.
When we talk about this, Ellen, we want to just go to that moment where you say you love education so much because education gives people enlightenment, and when people are enlightened, they are able to move. Your dream almost died in 1972. 10 years ago, you woke your dream up and you're living today. What reminded you so much about your dream when you are 50 years old to start it?
I was talking that at least I should do something before I die.
And selling of pineapple, what happened?
I was looking for money to open a school when I was selling pineapple. And I did it.
Did you ever grow pineapple when you came here?
I haven't.
You said you planted
rice. Where I got the money.
Would you say that the rice that you planted was better than the pineapple that started?
The rice was not better than pineapple, but this land here is different from that land of Luel. When you plant pineapple, it cannot come here as well as the one of Luel. And for the pineapple, you should get the suckers. Then you plant the suckers.
Let us go to the story of the school many years down the road. Parents doubting you, parents telling you, and people saying, no, she has come here to look for her husband. She has come here to steal from us or to grab our land. Today, do they still look at you the same way?
Some are still looking at me in the same way. And some really appreciate with me.
Where do you see your life, Nyamungo, from today? We wrote some questions down here. Who is Nyamungo Ellen? Why did you come to this area?
I came to this area as a farmer. That is why I said I got 20 sacks of rice.
And you sold?
And I sold.
Okay.
And it brought me where to open a school.
Okay.
I think this is number 3.
So number 3, what were you doing before you started this school?
I was selling pineapple.
You were selling pineapple? Do you think you've answered that question?
Yes.
Anything more you want to say?
No, about that?
Yes. Okay. Let us go to question number 4. What really inspired you to start all this? I know we've talked about it.
Inspired me.
The word inspired means something that gave you the hope to start. Something that was driving you, that keeps driving you to do this thing.
That thing which was driving me, I got very many children in this village who just at home, they also abandoned. The parents doesn't know where to take them. That is why that thing brought me to open a school.
Okay. Your school is very near the government school. And it is a private school started by senior 2 dropout from school, which will always be your dent, because technically they will expect you to go through the school and you go to teachers college, teachers training college, then you come, then they say Nyamungo qualifies to start the school. But right now, they will always say she dropped out, but she started the school, she's successful. If you had failed, they will say Nyamungo has failed. But because you are successful, they don't know where to place you. I want you to tell us, what does that make you feel like?
When they will tell me that I did not go to college,
yes,
I should leave school,
yes,
or do what? But the school is still there. If they say I did not go to college, I always get the teachers from the college. For me, I'm just a director.
Yes.
I'm somebody who has brought something and bring those who are educated to work in it. As if somebody who opens a drug shop and that person brings a doctor or a nurse for the work.
Where do you get all this knowledge and wisdom from, Ellen?
Mostly from my parents. And then the school added more knowledge on me.
Can you tell us a little bit more about your parents as we now come to the close of this interview?
My father was a road overseer. I don't know whether you know.
A road overseer, road inspector, yes.
My father
Back then they used to call them the road overseer.
Yes.
Now they are called the road inspectors.
Yes. My father was a road overseer. He also fought in the Second World War.
Your father fought in the Second World War?
Yes.
Did your father also fight in the Second World War, if you are watching this interview? If he did he raise a girl like Nyamungo, who is changing the world today? We've heard of the stories of those who fought in the World War, but we don't know how. Are you aware of what happened? Did your father ever tell you what happened?
He did not tell me, but he told me that they went and fought for Second World War. But what happened there, he did not tell me.
What about your mother?
My mother was just a poor lady. She even doesn't go to school. She told me that their father was telling me that ladies should not go to school. But most of the brothers were educated.
What does that make you feel like today? That your mother didn't go to school because the tradition then stated that ladies or women or girls should stay home and get married.
I even went and asked my grandfather. Said there was no money. But my mother doesn't know anything. but we were the one teaching her English. She can say too late, spare part. When you come late, you say there's spare part of food there, you go and eat.
And so you will have the spare part of food.
Then I go and get the spare part
of food that you eat.
And I eat.
Is your mother still living?
No, my mother is dead and my father is also dead.
Yes. We want to know from you. Years have come and have passed. How old are you and what is your experience? What kind of experience has life taught you that you can share with us now that you run this school?
I'm 62 years old. I was born in 1961. The experience which taught me is education, not another thing. My parents taught me, then education added more experience than my father's experience and my mother.
Life journey experience as Ellen, the things you have been through in life, how you have learned from them, and what are these experiences if you are applying them in this school today?
There are very many things I've experienced in this world. I suffered a lot when I come to open this school. Very many things happened in my life. I was renting. Even the owners of the house can't come. You get out from my house. And yet I was paying. But now at least I have my own land. I'm now free.
You bought the land?
I bought it.
How big is your land that you have a dream of building a serious school?
My land is half acre. Starting from behind here up to the main road.
Do you have plans to expand this?
Yes, I have.
Tell me about your plan to expand this.
I want to expand the school. The school should reach up to senior 4. That's my plan. These P7s who will sit here, I just take them here in my school, not to go anywhere. That is my plan.
Why would you want to keep them here? Do you have a plan? Do you see any danger? Or you want them to continue?
I want them to continue here.
Tell us a little bit more about why you want them to continue here.
So that the government know who my school is. Because without getting first grade or second grade, the government doesn't know you. After getting first graders or 2, 3, they come immediately.
Wow. Well, we are talking to Ellen Nyamungo. That's the first episode of Ellen Nyamungo, the lady who received power from Mandulis Energy up in Gotmu in Noya district. In this episode, we talk to Ellen about her experience, her life, and where she's come from. The story leading to the school. We will be continuing with Ellen on the story of how the school received the light. Ellen, the first time you met Mandulis, what happened?
The first time I met Mandulis, they called for us for the meeting. We went, they said they are going to bring light. We cannot believe. Is these people telling the truth or they are deceiving us? We shall see. We waited and waited and waited. Then Mandulis came with the poles, with everything, bringing each and everything for us. We are now happy. I want to thank Mandulis very much for what they have done. That is why my children, I teach them about Mandulis. They made a rhyme yesterday, I think you heard.
Yeah. What do you want Mandulis to do for you besides the light? Or anybody who is out there, what do you want them to do for you, for this dream of yours?
I want them to add for me more classrooms, if they can. But they should not also get tired with me that this madam is ever disturbing us.
What about those well-wishers who will see your story? What would you want to tell them?
I've made a pit latrine. Even building that pit latrine is fitting me. Up to now, I'm talking. The parents have brought their children, but without school fees. Some only brought the registration fee. But there are very many children, there are almost 140.
So, if they don't pay school fees, doesn't your dream die?
My dream can die if they don't pay.
So what are you going to do?
There's nothing I can do.
There has to be some ways for you to go beyond them not paying school fees? What are your plans on how to sustain the
Plans,
school?
I will just call them. Last year, they left a credit of 800, which was not paid up to now. And they have brought the children again. Some used to pay. There are some who pays. And there are some who just brought their children and then they leave. When I add the school fees to read, because they used to pay 80, the primary, and then the nursery 70. When I add the school fees at 100 this year, most of the parents took their children.
So is there any plan you have to tell parents, to help parents, to educate them, to make sure that they see the value that this school brings to them? Because there has to be a means to the end of how you sustain your school.
I give them advice, but they cannot have. If they see the thing is now hard there, because when a child goes there, a child cannot understand. Then they will start to bring the child back here. That is what they do.
And what do you tell them when they come back?
When they bring me money, I welcome.
And when they don't bring you money, what happens?
When they don't bring, they take to primary school.
But it has failed in that primary school and they are now coming back to you.
That is why there's nobody who is educated here. Because the parents are not serious. They just go up, down, up, down. They are confused that there's no money. You see, the bad thing in this place, what I see, they are used to free things. They want free things so much. As Mandule was brought there, they thought that thing will be free forever. And when you will tell them to start to pay, they will just leave it. They will not pay. You will also witness. When you bring something for paying.
People want things for free.
People want things.
Why do you think the people in this community, or most of them, want things for free, having been settled here for some time?
They say that it is because of the war.
Okay.
That is what they say. When the government is bringing something for them, the thing should be free. And we have a happy center. I think you know what a happy center is. It was brought just here in the sub-county. And I'm also a member there. They brought a school, a nursery school. They also want that nursery school to be free.
That is the epicenter and the strategy development that we see the sign leading to this road.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
They want that thing also to be free.
What would be your advice to anybody who is watching this video, whether parents here or outside? What would be your advice to them?
If there is a well-wisher, let them come and help me where I am. If they have that heart, because they have seen everything. I think they have seen everything. They have seen me. Everything is out.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. This interview has come to an end. This is Ellen Nyamungu, the lady who runs the community school she started in Gotungu in Nuoya district. The second series of this will be powered by Manduli's energy on documenting on how we can get this school helped and how we can get people to come here and help this lady build the school to help the children who live in this community. My name is Eddie Okela. My job is documenting people's lives and thinking for people. Do you have a story? We will come.
obuuka sooka osembere ng'ontunuulira ontya twali twesisinkanyeewa naye ekyo nga tonnakiddamu mbulira onzudde otya bubadde onnoonya mbulira obuuzizza otya yanaakutumya oyo akusudde ku kyokya sembera lekera okwemutya weebuzaabuza tunula mu maaso toweetya abamu bamanyi nga rapa bamu bamanyi nga b-boy sibyowakana abamu bamanyi nga eddoboozi eryogerera omuntu owa wansi yonna gyendi abamu bamanyi nga yimba kyendi abalala bandabanda babuuza musomesa wuuyo abatamanyi bo bawuza fala wuuyo nakyo kinkolera kuba mbayita kuli talaba olwo abagamba nti nina amaasaana abiri gali maaso abiri gali mabega nkoto lwaki balowooza bwe batyo kuba nzinengera gyenva nejengenda banji bandaba naye tebantegeera banji bantegeera naye tebandaba 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 abafere bantya bwe bandaba bo tebaddamu kucacyanca bakirako bingubiridde mu kyenkya anti ndi mubufu obukodyo nina nkuyanja bategera waggulu nempita wansi ne banteega ku kkono nempita ku ddyo mbaleka basembye kya bulijjo obukodyo bwe gaba mazzi ewange yeewali ensulo ewange gyensulo olumu onoonya n'ombula olumu nsula nkola olumu nsiba ntabaalira ekumpi n'ewala sinti mbeewala mirimu gyenkola gyanfula naddalabikalabika nenga mazzi gansuwa banji bandaba naye tebantegeera banji bantegeera naye tebandaba 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 amagezi ganeesera abateesi baneesiga ate abagezigezi bo batandika okuneesiga kuba bakungula ebiva mu nsigo z'ensiga ate ab'omululu bo baswama bakeraga ensega mujja kunzisa enseko kubandaba nze musumba olumu gotayawula mu ndiga nkulengera nga tondaba era nga sinnaba kulabika nsirika nga gwolokopya tonnalabuka nsiterebuka ate era sittakibe nga sinnakikenenya ndusu nze ndi ku manduso n'olwekyo kakkana nkujje ekifu ku maaso bagamba ntyekuba omunaku tekya eyange yakya naye abalala nenjikeesa era bwenjagala nebakootulo n'obudde nenkeesa awakana kikyoteesa banji bandaba naye tebantegeera banji bantegeera naye tebandaba 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 Abrams Techa
I am Flavia Luanga. I'm the Human Resources Director for Airtel Uganda. I've just been through the roundtable discussion on, what is the importance of doing more than one international languages. And we are doing this at Alliance Française. Personally, I believe it's important to know more than one international language. Obviously, most of us speak English, so because it's really known worldwide, pretty much most people will be, English speaking. And personally, I choose, French because it's equally, largely spoken on the African continent, and so we have the, the Anglophone countries, then we also have the Francophone countries. And working at Airtel Uganda, we do have, countries that we operate in Africa, over 13 countries in Africa, and you could say almost 50% of those countries are Francophone countries. So I see there's a lot of value in learning more than one language. And like I said, I will speak more from my point of view, which is to learn the French language. And, at a point, we go to a situation where, the different countries would always reach out to each other to get talent for specific roles in their countries. Because you know, there are many reasons, but one of them being that, you know, the roles are scarce in the specific country. So many people reached out to us from other francophone speaking countries and other countries which are anglophone, but francophone especially. I felt hurt because I believe we have very good talent at Airtel Uganda, and we do have good talent in Uganda. So with the opportunity of knowing the French language and the fact that you're already a professional, it adds so much more to your life. So because you will find that if you have so many people who have the capability, you know, how does the employer choose you from the next person? I think French language is a key differentiator. And like again, I said, I'm speaking about Airtel per se, because this is the opportunity I saw. And once I saw that opportunity and I realized, oops, our professionals do not speak French, then that's when I approached Alliance Française, and for 5 years now, they've come through and you know, we've structured some French classes at the place of work. So we have a stream of people coming through at different levels and trying to learn the language. So at least I want my people to be prepared. I want them to be ready so that, you know, when these kind of opportunities come, you know, that they end up to be the preferred, you know, candidates for the jobs, because they already know English and they know it very well. But then, and they're professionals, they're very good at what they do. Now the only challenge is they can't speak French, and the opportunities are there. And I've sent some, you know, some of my people to the French-speaking countries, but the ones where I've been able to send them are the ones where, you know, there's at least a balance of both French and English. So I've been able to send people to Seychelles, you know. I even have a finance director in Seychelles today, Ugandan, who didn't know any French, but because they sort of, you know, as a country, they've embraced both languages. So it was easy for me for this person to go. They didn't go as a finance director. They went as a financial controller, and today they're a finance director. I've also sent people to Rwanda, you know, and as you probably already know, Rwanda is also now really picking up on the English. So it's important to have at least two you know, national or multinational, international languages. So that's the opportunity I see.
My name is Bujingo Don Patrick. I work with Aloysia Organic Natural Health Products as the managing director. And I also work with Makerere University Business School as a lecturer of marketing and the French language. I think firstly, this roundtable on French and employability for me is an opportunity to give a testimony. I'm a product of the benefit of having studied the French language. So I believe this roundtable discussion gives us room to look at the past, where we are, and the future. So it's a very, very strategic discussion. I did get the passion to study the French language. Firstly, I was exposed to this language rather young, not with much interest from myself, but rather the motivations of my teachers, French bread, things like this after class. But then as I went into the higher levels, I started to see the value of this language, the beauty of the language. So for me, the passion was mainly to see that we could fit into this global village. French is a beautiful language, and knowing the language itself exposes us and the opportunities of the world out there.
Raymond Muhechi is my name. I'm a lawyer and a French student at Alliance Française de Kampala. I'm very much interested in French, and I love the French language because of the opportunities it presents to not only my profession, but also to the people I work with. I'm a lawyer, and my work is mostly into international law, as well as in Uganda. I do private practice in Uganda as well, in addition to the international law work I do around the world. And my experience in my international law field has been challenging in the past because of not being able to speak the French language. I've been missing out on several work engagements, and I've also had challenges in some work engagements. Shared some experiences. One I had recently in 2019 in Benin, where I lost a job opportunity with United Nations because I couldn't speak the French language. And when last year I was in France, I was left on a train because I couldn't understand what they were saying on the train, and I missed my stop. So these challenges these challenges that I kept facing showed me why I need to learn the French language, why I need to add French to the English language. Not only is it important to my work, but also interacting with the other people around the world. When I saw this program being organized by Alliance Française and the partners on French language and employability, I realized that I must attend this event. Not only is this event going to inspire me to, learning a language requires commitment and inspiration. Not only is this event going to inspire me, but I'll also learn how to maybe to inspire people and also meet the top employers who are going to tell us why the French language is important to them, why they pick out someone with French language as an addition to work in their companies and organizations. And it doesn't matter whatever profession, all professions, engineering, we're seeing journalism, we're seeing the legal practice as well, we're seeing all professions require the French language. And noting that also we're seeing more French countries connecting to East Africa, DRC, Burundi, Rwanda. This program becomes very important for us to really, take on.
I'm Gloria Rodriguez, and I am working with International Organization for Migration. I am the Human HR Resources Officer here in the IOM Uganda. I already mentioned it in the panel or discussion. You see, as International Migration Organization, we are very open to diversity, and our job deploys us in different countries all over the world. So it's important that when you as an IOM staff member get to become an international officer and you're assigned to a certain country and it speaks French, and you have to have that language skills, which is French. And as I mentioned also a while ago, I was surprised that in Africa, the countries speaking French is so many compared to the European part. So that's why we require ourselves to learn a second language or a third language if we can, as much as possible, because you really have to blend in the culture, and language is the key to the culture of the country. So yes, that's why we require them. They have to speak the language where they are supposed to be.
My name is Walimbwa Teddy. I currently work with Stanbic Bank as a consultant in the call center. I've been working so far for 3 years under Stanbic Bank, and proudly to be a member of Alliance Française, the French club. It hasn't been long, but I'm proud to be one of the members. I did French part of my university program, but it was a compulsory course because I was studying with the Missions of Africa. So because they have French programs, they have English programs, so I had to do French. So I did French for 3 years during my social sciences bachelor's course. And then they sent me to Congo for 2 months to have an experience in speaking French and listening besides the classwork. And shortly they sent me to Burkina Faso for 4 months. And I did intensive, it was an intensive program, but it was more of past work, like interacting with people, of which it helped me so much. Because if I didn't have the knowledge of French, then I wouldn't interact with the people, I wouldn't get information from them, and I would feel it difficult to fit in the community.
I also picked up a lot more from the other speakers. I picked up a lot from the people who are, the students who are seated on the floor. And you see, there's a lot of opportunity. So the question is, why do I have to learn French? For me, the simple answer is, you do not know what you will stumble on. You just don't know. When I hear that, the kind of testimonies that came through, you realize there's, you cannot even put a number to the opportunities. There's so many opportunities. Some we know, some we don't even know, but they are there. So just learn the language.
My name is Magali Losange. I'm the head of courses of Alliance Française Kampala. I would say first of all that was a direct answer to a request we heard a year ago. So a year ago we met with a couple of teachers at Chambogo University, and some of the head teachers asked us, how can you create more awareness on the specific job opportunities offered for people who can speak French? We thought about it. We realized that instead of having French teachers telling them the full story, it would be better for us to meet employers and employees who are already living this idea that with French, you have access to more job opportunities. So this conference was an opportunity to listen directly from the people who hire people speaking French, but also from the people who already speak French and are using this skill for their professional career.
Yes, I think the French language has come in fundamental for me as one, primarily as a French teacher, being a lecturer of the French language in Macquarie University Business School, and also being a marketing lecturer. Now, this helps me fuse the experience that I've seen in the French world, because I had a chance to do my master's in France, in one of the top cosmetics brands in the entire world, called L'Oreal. And for me, this was an experience to see the marketing angle at a global perspective. And at the end of the day, I picked this experience to share with my students. And how this also now taps into Aloysia Organic is that, we want to tap into this global market. How will you tap into the French market when you do not have any chance to speak the French language, for example? So meaning our products can be able to reach the French-speaking community, the Francophone community in Africa, and this is the future really. Today, this language is becoming an official language in the East African community.
I'll speak, yes, from a human resource, but there's also a business angle that I picked up here. And I was like, okay, this is something I never thought about. From a human resource perspective, obviously, like I said, I've seen so many advertisements from the time I started, looking out for a job when I just left university. There's so many adverts I've read, and they say French is an added advantage.
Je m'appelle Raymond Muhechi. Je suis avocat international ici à Kampala. Aujourd'hui, prendre employability en langue française pour prendre langue française, practice.
I would like to think that the students realize that there are so many opportunities. Usually we think about the most obvious ones, such as, of course, French teachers, translators, but they realize that the French can be this little extra touch. So as long as you have a specific education, French will open more doors for you, but it can come along with so many different skills, and it can be used in so many different sectors. So the main goal of this gathering was to inspire and to put a light on all the different opportunities. From the HR managers, I hope what they realize is that there are already a lot of people who can speak French in Uganda. And on my side, the idea was, okay, how can we do more moving forward?
Je m'appelle Flavia Luanga. Je suis une étudiante de langue française depuis 5 ans. Je suis apprendre avec l'Alliance française, mais je parle un peu de la langue française parce que je suis très occupée avec mon travail. I'm Flavia Luanga. I'm a student of the French language. I study at Alliance Française. I speak very little of the language because I am too occupied with my job. So I intend to start taking up, classes, online classes. I intend to read French written books, and I want to also get into the videos, do movies, simple movies. And then I also want to join the French club here at Alliance Française. So we were sharing quite a bit with Magali and the director on some of the things they could do, given my experience, someone who's been loving the language and learning the language. So I shared with him some of the few ideas I had that could probably help, people like myself.
My name is Guy Maza,
and I'm the manager of this research center of Alliance Française, which is also called Library, which happened to be the biggest resources center with French and Francophone resources. From when I attended this talk and thoughts, I was very impressed because we had so many people, they came. And when it comes to practice, people ask so many questions about how can we practice the language. And as the manager of Resources Center of Alliance Française, I could relate to those questions because I've been asked so many times by students and also members who want to to have opportunities to practice the language. Because in Uganda, it's the English is predominant, so they don't have so many opportunities to practice outside of their classes. It was a great opportunity for them and also for us to hear from them what they want, the expectation. And from someone who work here and also who is always in interaction with members and also students, I would say we have a huge responsibility here in the library because we have resources, physical resources such as books and also movies, DVDs, and internet, because we provide them with internet. And then we always advise them to use them, to borrow those books, to go home and read. Now we have an online library. We don't have to come here and read from here or to borrow a book from here. We can create an account for you and you go and you practice from home. And then for us, the library provides them with so many resources in French, yes, physical but also online. And also we have activities which help them to practice the French language, such as French Club, which is an opportunity for students and members to share and to speak on different topics in French. So it's time for those student members, they're Francophone, they're Anglophones, and they meet and they share, they help each other. Yes, and also we have other activities with different purposes, but the main goal is to help them to practice French.
First of all, I would like to say that this is something we hear very often, and that's why we try on ourselves to be more flexible and to really adapt to the schedule of these busy professionals. One of the things we've done is to provide classes online, so someone doesn't have to come to Alliance Française or doesn't have to wait for a teacher to come to their office to learn French. So that's the main innovation, I would say. And then there are also many other ways outside of Alliance Française to take advantage of any little time you have to improve your French. Whether, again, we're talking about watching a movie, it doesn't look like you're learning, but you're actually learning while you're watching a Netflix movie. There are a couple of different apps. I would talk about Duolingo. That's another quick way to practice. So the most important thing is to make sure that you don't give up. Maybe you feel like you're not doing so much, but you're actually doing enough to keep on practicing and being exposed. Of course, classes will help you to get a proper grasp of the language, but as long as you keep on trying to find a way to practice, you're good. Bonjour, je m'appelle Magali Losange, je suis la directrice pédagogique de l'Alliance Française de Kampala. Et l'une des choses qui m'a le plus marqué aujourd'hui, ça a été le sourire du public, l'enthousiasme du public en découvrant toutes les opportunités offertes à ceux qui parlent le français. Donc merci à tous ceux qui sont venus aujourd'hui au Talks and Talks French and Employability. I say that one of the things that I really enjoyed was to see the smiles and the enthusiasm of the public who was able to discover all the opportunities offered for people who can speak French. Thank you very much to everyone who came to the conference today.
Celebrating Africa's future.
When we first started the summit, the first day was they taught us about UI UX design. That's something you never do at campus unless otherwise. So the project we're working on is designing a UI and a UX of a USSD application. And that would help users always to get current market prices. So that is what we have been doing and what we look forward to enrolling it shortly after the summit.
I've been able to collaborate with different developers and learn more that I'll integrate it in my journey as a junior developer.
It has really been so amazing, and me taking part on the very first event has really been so great. So it has been so amazing, and I'm glad I was part of it.
My interesting session was with Sylvia when she was talking about women in tech, and that really inspired me to pursue more.
It's very important for junior developers like me and fellow developers out there that if we get a chance to attend these events, we should attend them so that we can get more information from people who are above us so that we can be guided in the right path.
The most exciting thing and the session I had during the summit was the first thing I need to talk about this, like meeting Sylvia. I see a young lady talking to us content about this thing called Africa is Talking APIs, and the content she was giving us was really so amazing. So the first thing I loved so much about this was getting to meet her and getting to see her, the passion she has for African women and tech. Just really been so amazing, and yeah, I love that a lot.
My key takeaway of this summit is to be swift in running projects. However much you have a lot on your plate, you can still run them, whether in a group or as a person.
So my takeaway is we need to collaborate, and I'm looking forward to reaching out to most of those devs to see how we can collaborate and work together to build Africa. And I'm looking forward to being one of Africa's, entrepreneurs. And if it sparks from here, that's really so amazing. Looking forward to it.
Bonjour and bienvenue at Job Fair aujourd'hui. Welcome, bienvenue at Job Fair aujourd'hui. Today, aujourd'hui c'est le day for speaking French, so make sure you speak some French before you go.
And I'd like to acknowledge the presence of all of you and welcome you to our job fair.
Bonjour à tous. I'm called Elvis Bejuka, and I'm glad to be here. I would really like to thank the young graduates here and all those looking for jobs for coming to this fair. And I also like to thank whoever organized it, the French companies for being here. It's really great.
And I take the opportunity already to thank all the organization from Alliance Française, from Campus France, from the CAC, so all my dear colleagues, French colleagues, that have managed to organize this event, and Total Energy is very proud to be part of this event.
Our embassy calls for the reinforcement of the Ugandan French linguistic cooperation to contribute to the Ugandan regional integration.
My name is Mary Nambi. I work with NG Energy Access as a human resource business partner. I'm happy to be here seeing young people that are aspiring to join the different fields and that are starting their career. Others are in the mid-level of their career.
So I welcome you all to the first edition of the Job Fair, which we hope is not going to be the last, and I know it won't be. The aim of this event is to bring together Ugandan students and young workers with French and international companies. The need to bring together French and employability in Uganda in this event is due to the fact that French has become an official language in the East African community.
France wants more Ugandan students to France. This is why we're here, and that's what is our mission here in Kampala. Of course, France is a land of opportunities in terms of professional,
Konasis on the beat. Sylvester Kabombo. Yeah. Amalala gakobe chigwo. Amalala gakobe chigwo. Enume ye chigwo. Yeah. Volume nyongere. Oba owamala. Yeah. Awamala. Volume nyongere muko. Oba owamala. Nedda yongera mu. Volume nyongere. Oba owamala. Yeah. Awamala. Volume nyongere muko. Oba owamala. Nedda yongera mu. Tula kalira ulize mbozi bulamu towalira byenkubulira passport nga chali wange walakira ebyo byolepuka bijja kulakira kotandisa agabozi kwaba basebekira okoze kyene nnyo enzijjo kuzibikira oja kunakuwala kubalaba kumatikira babadde basebekira kati nga bakulembera n'akazindaalo nga batuyimbira vava ku malala temuli bibala bona gavirako ku ngalo emikwano gibalabala bulamu si butereevu busala ebigoli noyo noli ebizibu bitusimbira line ng'akasooli ozala ebika by'emmere bikulisa embooli nga weekwese bwe ozala wange obalabira mu kamooli otya okusongamu uyo kapooli gwe twayogerako owamajati ayit sente oli munyongere oba owamala volume nyongere muko oba owamala nedda yongeramu volume nyongere oba owamala awamala volume nyongere muko oba owamala nedda yongeramu bwagula enzirusi atagula yazza musango lwachoji walabanya ngago bwengo bagamba owebbango futumutegera ku mulyango kirizagana katukomukire totumenyera omwango Pulire moroka tonna jikuta olinda Yesu wanalidde okugimanyira leka bano batuuke nga banyirira lwaki obakuba ebizi oyagala batomera aga malala gasana kuluyira Sylvester ku ngoma rhymes nga nkwira I get the job done call me whatever you want to I hope to make you a person they look up to not to divide society into two input to there's nowhere you are going to mutuntu bulirira ne burubaruba tu bulambwe mutomatu kankusibirire tu sijozanyise kugayanga meketu weketu muganda witu wetereze mwatu volume nyongere oba owamala volume nyongere muko oba owamala nedda yongeramu volume nyongere oba owamala volume nyongere muko oba owamala nedda yongeramu amalala gakube kigwo amalala gakube kigwo enume y'ekigwo Abraham cause in effect banji bandabana ye tebantegeera banji bantegeera naye tebandaba banji bandaba naye tebantegeera banji bantegeera naye tebandaba banji bandaba naye tebantegeera banji bantegeera naye tebandaba banji bandaba naye tebantegeera banji bantegeera naye tebandaba ontegeera otya mubuuka sokosembere ngontunuulira ontya twali twesisinkanyeewa naye ekyo nga tonnakiddamu mbulira onzudde otya bubadde onoonya mbulira obuuzizza otya yanaakutumya oyo akusudde ku kyokya sembera lekera okwemutya weebuzaabuza tunula mu maaso toweetya abamu bamanyi nga rapa bamu bamanyi nga b-boy sibyowakana abamu bamanyi nga eddoboozi eryogerera omuntu owa wansi yonna gyendi abamu bamanyi nga yimba kyendi abalala banda babuuza musomesa wuuyo abatamanyi babawuza fala wuuyo nakyo kinkolera kuba mbayite kuli talaba olwo abagamba nti nina amaasaana abiri gali maaso abiri gali mabega nkoto lwaki balowooza bwe batyo kuba nzinengera gyenva nejengenda banji bandaba naye tebantegeera banji bantegeera naye tebandaba 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 abafere bantya bwe bandaba bo tebadda mu kucacyanca
bakirako bingubiridde mu kyenkya anti ndi mubufu obukedde nina nkuyanja bategera waggulu nempita wansi ne banteeka ku kkono nempita ku ddyo mbaleka basembye kya bulijjo obukodyo bwe gaba mazzi ewange yeewali ensulo ewange gyensulo olumu onoonya n'ombulo olumu nsula nkola olumu nsiba ntabalira ekumpi n'ewala sinti mbewala mirimu gyenkola gyanfula nantalabika ninga mazzi gansuwa bangi bandaba naye tebantegeera bangi bantegeera naye tebandaba 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 amagezi ganeesera abateesi baneesiga ate abagezigezi bo batandika okuneesiga kuba bakungula ebiva mu nsigo z'ensiga ate ab'omululu go baswama bakerako ensega mujja kunzisa enseko kuba ndaba nze musumba olumu gotayawula mu ndiga nkulengera nga tondaba era nga sinnaba kulabika nsirika nga gwologopya tonnalabuka nsiterebuka ate era sitakibe nga sinnakikenenya ndusu nze ndi ku manduso n'olwekyo kakkana nkujje ekifu ku maaso bagamba nteekuba omunaku tekya eyange yakya neyabalala nenjikeesa era bwe njagala nebaka otulo n'obudde nenkeesa awakana kikyoteesa bangi bandaba naye tebantegeera bangi bantegeera naye tebandaba 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 Abrams Techa
Ladies and gentlemen, we want to welcome all of you that have honored this time. Some of you were called and invited on short notice, but you're here. I also want to celebrate the team that is behind this marathon, ladies and gentlemen. Globally recognized, first of all.
It's interesting to know how far we've come. It wasn't as rosy as this, as you'll see in the different steps as we progress through this function. So yes, we're going for edition number 4. We've seen growth from just a dream to over 700 runners, to 2,200 runners, to 3,700 runners, and now we are gunning for 6,000 runners in Kasese. We have 4 objectives as a marathon. One is talent identification, 2 is sports tourism, 3 is promoting and enhancing a healthy living, community transformation, and climate change. And to achieve that, we've worked with numerous sponsors who have decorated this room with their pull-up banners.
A marathon is not just about the people running, it's about the people coming to support. It's about the people driving from Fort Portal that are coming up from Ribirisi. Unless you haven't been in Uganda over the last 3 years, I don't think you could have avoided knowing about the Rwenzori Marathon, right? Every year we are annoyingly loud. We started with 800 runners. In 2023 we grew to 2,200 runners, and last year we had 3,700 runners. We painted the country green. For those of you who were in Kasese, you might remember the really fast guy, Abel, who won the 42. Adidas picked up Abel, flew him to Portugal, where he won the Porto Marathon. And that requires. Qualifying with the time that he got in Kasese, saying he wouldn't have gone to Kasese if we hadn't paid for his transport.
We have always said that one of our drivers is to ensure that the local community benefits from the event. So 75% of those, they said they were satisfied. Tourism impact. 98% of the participants believe that the event plays an important role